Welcome to a break with Black Women, and today we're going to talk about natural hair, but not just any natural hair, Afro-Caribbean natural hair. I mean, I don't know, did you see that video clip about Wanea? She's the police, not police, army officer.
Army, yeah,
that's right.
I did. I was quite shocked by that actually, from what she was saying in terms of how the army viewed natural locks, that they thought it was dirty. That was quite shocking to me, especially they thought it was dirty, kind of unkempt, unprofessional, and I found that really shocking actually. What did you think?
Well, I was thinking about the same thing, but I think the actual fact that she had to think about putting her hair in locks stemmed from she couldn't actually find a way of keeping her own natural hair that was acceptable to the army.
That still looked good and still was accepted.
So the accepted look was a bun, but her own natural hair, being curly and afro, wouldn't go in a bun, which could be kept. So she decided to grow dreadlocks to conform to their ideas, to their standards. And then the dreadlocks still wasn't good enough because, like you said, they thought they were dirty and it was an unkept style and all of this.
I think it's such a lack of consideration to how our hair grows as women. I think, you know, with men, I guess there's more acceptable for them to shave their hair or have shorter styles. But with women, I think, especially in Europe, when you're over to the West, hair is a sign of beauty. So you want it to be long, you want it to be, you know, you want to take pride in it. And a lot of the time, I think as black women from a young age, we're taught that you have to change your hair to make it seem acceptable, do things to your hair that damage it. And then like me, recently I had my hair in braids because I had damaged my hair so much. I thought, you know what, I actually want my natural full curly hair back. But because when I was at school, I thought, you know, I have to straighten it,
because you have to conform to the Western beauty standard, which is straight hair. So that's why you're relaxing your hair. That's why you're trying to make it look tidy. But that doesn't really
I think
make sense.
the other thing that I found quite interesting is this whole idea of natural hair, because your natural hair
It's curly.
is curly. So to not be allowed to have your natural hair because someone said who is
Not good enough.
is not good enough, it doesn't look right. I mean, I remember when I was working at a university, and they actually said to me, you know, we've had a few issues with hairstyles. You're not going to try and have an afro or anything like that. And it was, I actually didn't answer back, which now I really deeply regret. Because I just was like, what did they say?
But even in the language, you're not going to try and have an afro. Like, that's not your natural.
Yeah.
You know, that
you're not going to try and have an afro.
Yeah. Like you're a rebel.
Yeah, like you're doing something to have an afro. No, you're doing something to have an afro. My hair just goes like that. But what about that young boy? They expelled him from school.
For having dreadlocks.
For having dreadlocks. Where is that ever acceptable?
I know, it isn't acceptable at all.
But then I think that's the lack of understanding and the lack of viewpoint.
No, I still think it's the Western beauty standard. I still think it's, you have to have straight hair to be accepted. You have to have straight hair to look tidy. You have to have straight hair to look professional, to look clean even.
Even if you look at Google now, Google, if you type in unprofessional hair in Google, all you get is images of afro hair.
No.
I'm telling you, it's really unacceptable.
But even if you think, if we have our natural hair, so even for example like now, my hair's in as natural of a state as it can be, but even to come to work, what have I had to do? I've had to gel it down, I've had to put the edge control in because you can't have the edges out. Do you know what I mean?
We have to ask ourselves, who is still perpetrating this? Is it us? Have we now taken their stereotype and owned it so that we're doing that almost to ourselves?
You've both got children. What do you do with their hair?
So my son, he's going to be 5 soon.
Ah.
Yeah, and funny enough, I've always shaved it just because I always said I don't have time in the mornings to do his hair. Because that's another thing with Afro-Caribbean hair, it takes a lot of time to maintain. But over lockdown, when there was no barbers, I learned actually to really groom his hair, and I found ways where it wasn't as long or as taxing, and it's just about that education. And it's funny because I think with Afro-Caribbean hair, especially in Britain, it's something that we have to educate ourselves on. So for example, you go to Superdrug or Boots, you can't just pick up a shampoo that works. So
don't even tell me about that.
You know?
In lockdown, the whole ridiculously of trying to get product. I went back to castor oil and olive oil mixture. I did.
What about you with your daughter when she was younger?
Well, my daughter's hair's always been in plaits. She's always had her hair in plaits. She's been involved in a lot of sports, and like you said, she was a swimmer, and it was so difficult because, you know, drying Afro-Caribbean hair is not easy, and it takes time. So that whole process alone, it was just easier to just put it in extensions. And she's always just had it in extensions. She's never relaxed her hair.
It's funny when you're talking about different generations, because as well as ourselves personally, sometimes I wonder how much of how we view our own hair is related to us through older women in our family.
Of course.
So for example, since I've tried to get my natural hair back, you know, we have YouTube, we have lots of tutorials who teach you how to care for your hair naturally, but with our parents, for example, they didn't have that.
So my daughter's got really curly hair, like really curly hair. It's beautiful, it's amazing. And I hope when she's older that she doesn't want to straighten her hair and try and conform to Western standards. I've straightened my hair a lot. It is very damaged because we've also been taught, oh, like when there's a party or a wedding and you are showing your hair, straighten it. That's the most beautiful thing you can do is to straighten it. But my sister now, who's 20, she never straightens her hair, and I love it. Her natural curly hair is beautiful, and I would want my daughter to be exactly the same.
Yeah, to emanate that.
To not embrace, but just to love her hair and not think, oh, so-and-so's hair is nicer than mine. Because I would never forget being in school and my hair was curly and a girl said to me, your hair's curly. And I remember saying to my mum, can you straighten my hair for me? Because my mum blow dried it for me, blow dried it straight. And I went to school and I came back and my hair was a big puff ball because obviously it had like humid, etc. But I do want my daughter to never, like, I just want her to love her curly hair, to always have it out curly.
Yeah, I hear that.
I agree.
We've been joined by Miss Gordon. Hi, Miss.
Hi, guys.
Hi. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the videos, but we were just talking about, like, our natural hair and how we could embrace it, and even more importantly, how we disseminate feelings that have been put on us and stereotypes that have been put on us to the next generation down. I mean, I know I've done loads of stuff to my hair. I've relaxed it, I've straightened it with irons, I've done the most. But actually I just plait my hair with kinky braids just because my hair is a bit limp, and it's probably very limp from all of the mistreatment it's had done to it. I mean, when you think about the pharmaceutical industry and the amount of money we've pumped into that industry to do something to our hair which they deem acceptable for us to look like, you know, and it's damaging to our hair, but hey, we still give them money for it.
I mean, one of the things I remember watching a few years ago was this documentary called Good Hair. I don't know if when you were growing up, you always had that cousin that had the good hair, and obviously my hair was at that time not classified as good hair because I had very coily, natural Afro-Caribbean hair. So they would call my hair the tough head, and then the one that had the good hair. The good hair was the one that was straighter, easier to comb, and my one was difficult to kind of handle and to manage and to style. So watching that documentary where you, from the age of like 9, I would have chemical relaxers put in my hair. So I've had the curly perm, just like you, I've had the relaxing straight. Each time, it made my hair fall out every time. So you would suffer with chemical burns on your scalp, and you would have flaking off the skin coming off of your scalp. Sometimes it would bleed, and it was something that you went through because you wanted to look beautiful. And that's the kind of the image that you had growing up in order to have this beauty that was portrayed on all of the films that you watched and all of the magazines that you saw, and in everything that you did, you had to go through a little bit of pain. So pain equals beauty. Now, skip forward many, many years, and I no longer relax my hair. I have been natural for over 15 years. I take a long time to do my hair when I am combing it. Wash day is like, they don't understand, it's an actual event. It's not something that takes 15 minutes, wash and go. Do you remember that advert, wash and go? There is no wash and go.
But even the adverts, come on now, even those adverts, when they're advertising shampoo, you know, I mean, just think about little kids watching that advert. I mean, I've been through it, we all have. But now to think we're in 2020 and little kids are watching adverts like Head and Shoulders, Wash and Go, whatever it is. But there's nothing that reflects them in an advert.
But you know what's funny? Sorry, Miss, to go back to what you were saying, Miss Gordon, when you were saying you've been natural for 15 years, I had a weird reaction because inside I was like, oh wow, well done. And I thought to myself, what a weird circumstance that so many of us go back to being natural. It's not that we've just had our hair and then some people straighten it. Going natural is a thing.
It's a thing.
And then also you commend people like, well done, you've been natural for this long, because that's
a journey.
That's an achievement.
Right.
It's an achievement.
Don't you think it's a journey that you kind of go through? When you're younger, you want to fit in and you want to look beautiful. And it's easier, to be honest, when your hair is relaxed. You can get rid of it within 5-15 minutes. When you've got natural hair, it does take a little bit more preparation.
But you know what? I think what needs to really happen is that the next generation, like the students we have here, they really need to embrace their natural hair.
Absolutely.
And they need to learn how to look after their natural hair. I have heard students say, oh, I've got to do this and this with my weave, or I've got to do this with my wig, and their natural hair is uncombed, ungreased, unlooked after. And especially the bonnets. Look at the young students we have. If their natural hair is out, they're going to put a bonnet on their hair.
Yes. Can I ask, like, when I don't know how long you've been natural, how did you feel when you had to go out in public the first time, that when your hair wasn't relaxed or it wasn't in braids or you weren't wearing a weave? How did you feel?
Well, it's funny, my hair's still really damaged, so even though I haven't put any blow drying or any kind of straightener on my hair since about February this year, so it's still quite straight. But it's funny, going back to what Miss Bastian was saying, I think the journey through going back to natural, it's not just, okay, I want my hair to go back, it's about loving your hair. Then that's
loving yourself.
Exactly. So when I'm plaiting, you go from, I think when I was younger, resenting the fact that I have to plait my hair before I go to bed, I just want to go to sleep, or exactly to put the headscarf on. I used to resent it, to now, before I go to bed and I'm oiling my hair, it's an act of self-love. I'm caring for myself, and I'm taking pride that, you know what, when I wake up in the morning, my hair's going to be healthy. So that's been my transition.
I'm a big believer in loving who you are and loving every part of you and embracing everything that's a part of you. And I am absolutely overjoyed when I see students coming into school with their natural hair. There is a sort of joy that I get from students who are owning the fact that their hair
self-pride.
grows. It is self-pride, but it's also self-love.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It comes back to what you were saying.
Absolutely self-love. And it's just this, they don't need to conform to anyone, because young woman, you are beautiful as you are.
Tell me about it,
And that's the inner desire that I want for all of our children to have, to love who they are and to represent who they are with grace.
I've seen that quite a lot, actually, and not only amongst our girls but also amongst our boys.
Young boys.
It's not so much as an Afro revolution as we had in the past. It's just like, this is me, this is my natural self, embrace me, I'm embracing myself. I wonder how many of you can embrace yourself during this Black History Month, and I wonder how many of you can sculpt your natural hair to be even more beautiful than we could dream of. I'd like to see some of that.
I do too.